Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to welcome you to our information event to introduce you to the investment potential of Donetsk Oblast. Do invest. Good morning. We have in this hall the representatives of the diplomatic institutions, international organizations, our partners, financial institutions, and potential investors, the central executive government authorities, business circles representatives, and to welcome our esteemed guests, I would like to invite the guest of the city of Kyiv, but he is also a host of our today's event. And this is the head of the Donetsk Oblast administration, the head of the Oblast civil administration, Mr. Pavlo Kirilenko. Let us welcome Mr. Pavlo Kirilenko. Good morning, esteemed friends, partners, and future partners, and I'm absolutely confident that we are going to have more partners in the future. 3 months ago, we, together with Gennady Dmitrievich, met and we decided that we are going to carry out a presentation of our economic content, economic potential of Donetsk Oblast here in the Chamber of Commerce and Trade of Kyiv. And this is exactly what we are doing now. And, well, we will see what sort of impressions you are going to have after this forum and what sort of cooperation we are going to set up in the future. And I am absolutely confident that it is going to be effective because I know that we did a lot to continue moving forward together in the future, and which results and which objectives we formulate for ourselves. And I would like today each of you, while following the presentation attentively, following and listening to the presentations of the potential of the enterprises we have in the oblast. And I would like you to make a very important conclusion for yourself. And this is the following. Donetsk has always been famous for the industrial potential, but today, within these presentation, and you are going to find out information about the enterprises, but these are not the enterprises which are related to metal, coal, and sunflower seed, and they are not associated only with those items. And today's presentation materials, today's discussions are going to be a testimony to this fact. Moreover, you are going to see, and I'm always saying that statistics is a sort of stubborn component, and you will see the achievements of the enterprises which are not associated with the major well-known potential of our oblast. And I would like each of us to make the positive conclusions which are going to be an impetus to the next very important steps. So in spite of everything, Donetsk will be developing in the future, in spite of the military aggression, in spite of the close location of the cities to the touchline, but the results of the outcomes tell for themselves. 20 minutes ago, I was presenting the achievements in cooperation with our international partners. I was speaking at the event which was organized by the Vice Premier of the European integration, and we also gave very specific examples, and we told about our achievements in our cooperation. I would like to wish all of you fruitful cooperation, effective discussions, and so that the conclusions that you are going to make for each of you will be not simply interesting, but will give more confidence in the possibility to take very decisive actions. Thank you, Mr. Pavlo. And I would like to give the floor to the first deputy of the reintegration of the temporary occupied territories, Mr. Rostislav Zamlinsky. Good morning, esteemed Chairperson of the Oblast State Administration and esteemed President of the Chamber of Commerce of Ukraine. Good morning, esteemed representatives of the business circles and entrepreneurial community. And well, good morning to the representatives of the diplomatic corps of the foreign states who work in Ukraine, dear friends, dear colleagues. And it's an honor for me on my own behalf and also on behalf of the Minister of the reintegration of the temporary occupied territories of Ukraine, Mr. Reznikov, on the occasion of the presentation activity, information activity, which is a follow-up continuation of our joint work on development and implementing various tools and instruments for future development of Donetsk Oblast, for the engagement of the new investment, attraction of the new investment, or expanding the existing investment projects. We are confident, and I would like here to follow up what Mr. Pavlov said. We know that Donetsk Oblast was always famous for its industrial potential, and we are confident that people, human resources, are the great potential of this region. The people who are educated, creative, who are implementing their investment project in spite of the 8 years of the military aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine. And we still face the provocations of the occupational regime alongside with the touchline and close to the cities which were mentioned by Mr. Pavlov. But people demonstrate that it is possible, while using innovative models, it is possible to cooperate with the local government authorities, with the executive government authorities, to look for new solutions, implement them, and to be successful. And the idea of developing the enabling condition in Lugansk and Donetsk Oblast, well, we have developed together with our international partners and local authorities and diplomatic corps of Ukraine and the councillors of various levels, the experts, scientists, and with the proactive participation of the Chamber of Commerce and Trade of Ukraine and Mr. Gennady, well, we have developed the map of the economic development of Donetsk and Lugansk Oblast. And this strategy envisages consolidation of the efforts of all the participants and partners, entrepreneurial community, our international partners, local government authorities, central government authorities, academics. And I can continue the list of participants, but this consolidation and amalgamation actually makes this document strong. It started to be implemented at present. Today's event also has to strengthen the process of attraction of investment into the development of the Donetsk Oblast. And using this opportunity, I would like to invite everybody who is still thinking about investing to take a positive decision and to start implementing their investment projects. Because those who are going to take this opportunity the first are going to become the most successful and the most profitable. So don't hesitate, and you will have a support of the national government authorities and the oblast government authorities, and with the assistance of the Chamber of Commerce, you will have the reliable partner in developing your investment opportunities. I would like to thank you very much for the attention. I would like to wish you very fruitful cooperation. We are going to caucus with the head of the Oblast State Administration, and well, maybe we will be able to carry out such a promotional activities in the Donetsk Oblast, and most probably we will be able to use the regional branch of the Chamber of Commerce in Donetsk Oblast, and we will be able to carry out the promotional activity of this kind, or maybe even better, which will help us to attract more investment, to create new jobs, because security is not only the time when nobody's shooting in the area, but also security is related to the understanding of human resources, that they have stable jobs and they can implement entrepreneurial initiatives, can engage investment, and can become proactive participants of the process of development of the region. And the development of this region and the development of Ukraine at large is going to depend on these individuals. Thank you very much. The goal of this event is to present investment attractiveness of Donetsk Oblast, and it's very logical that we are going to give the floor now to the executive director of the Ukrinvest, Mr. Sergei Tsikach. Please, the floor is yours. Good morning, esteemed Chairman of the Donetsk Oblast Administration, Mr. Chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, the representatives of business and diplomatic community, everybody who is present today, offline and online. I'm very happy to participate in this event today because we are talking about the investment development of such an important region for Ukraine as Donetsk Oblast is, and we are talking about the special conditions thereof. And this is an indication of the fact that Ukraine can develop under any conditions, even complex conditions. And this, Donetsk Oblast, is really an indicator of that. And if there is a lot of development in Donetsk Oblast, it's easier to encourage Lviv and other regions and Kyiv region to continue developing. And at the beginning of 2029, the scope of industry has increased by 7%. The scope of the mining industries has increased by 24%, and the scope of other sectors of the economy is being developed. And we can see that the capital investment make now more than 10 million hryvnia this year, and they increase. We can look at the direct foreign investment. If we are talking only of Donetsk Oblast, this amount is $2.6 billion. And this is the third indicator in Ukraine. The first place is held by Kyiv, the second place is held by Dnipro, and the third is Donetsk Oblast. And I would like to congratulate you with this indicator, and we have to increase it. And everybody is saying that there are lots of problems in the region, and this is a military area which is close to the touch line and the contact line, and the conditions are not easy there. But in the world, there are a lot of examples when in such problem regions, the economy is developing very successfully, like, for example, in Israel and other countries. And we should not give up, and we should move forward. And you are setting up the tempo and the rates, and we are our partners, the Office of the Investment. And we are going to cooperate with the Office of the Vice Premier, who is responsible for this direction of the work, and we are going to support you. What can we offer? We can offer several initiatives, and one of them is the President's initiatives about the state support of the investment projects with significant investment, and this is the law of so-called investment nannies, and we have 27 applications which are more than $2 billion or US dollars worth, and we are going to work in this direction to promote this district. And also there is an initiative of industrial parks, and this year we have voted for the law 4116.1, and we see that the state is going to invest more than 2 billion hryvnia annually to develop the engineering infrastructure. And we believe that this financing is to be provided to this region because it will be an incentive for the investors to come to this region and to start working in this region. We, Ukraine Invest, are working on the initiative which is called Make in UA. And this is about the bilateral analysis opportunities. We have singled out 5 states, 5 directions with which we are going to work. This is Ukraine and US, Ukraine and Great Britain, Ukraine and the countries of the European Union, Ukraine and Turkey, and Ukraine and other partners. Are working in this analytical block. And this is about the bilateral analytics, because we cannot present the potential of Ukraine and the EU. This is too wide. We have to talk about the specific Donetsk Oblast and a certain US state or a certain sector of the economy in Turkey or in Poland. And this will be an applied approach, and we will understand where the investor is and why the investor should invest in Ukraine. we have to demonstrate what are the conditions for the investor. It's not only the regulatory policy, it's not only the work of the courts and the logistics and the logistics channel. It's about the companies which are already working in Ukraine, and this is about creating the chains of supply, and this is very important. So we have to think pragmatically, but not have time to waste. And I'm very happy that this is the way Donetsk Oblast is working at present. And in my organization, well, we are a very good partner, and we would like to invite the representatives of the international community, diplomats, and the business community to sit down together, develop the analytical documents, and also create the roadmaps to implement those. And I would like also to congratulate you with the name of this event, Do Invest. This is a creative approach. This is your vision about the specific goal of implementing your projects, and this is the understanding of where we are moving. Thank you very much for the attention. I will be happy to communicate with you and to participate in this event. But between the activities and the presentations, we have to work on a technical level. So after this event, we will start working on the technical and working level. Thank you very much. And it will be very logical to follow up the topic of the international cooperation. And, well, the Deputy Head Minister of the Foreign Affairs of Ukraine and the executive, Mr. Senek. Good morning. Esteemed Mr. Chizhikov, esteemed Mr. Kirilenko, the representatives of the diplomatic corps, esteemed participants of today's event. First of all, I would like to thank the team of the organizers of this event, the executive, the Chamber of Commerce and the State Administration of Donetsk Oblast for the invitation to participate in this event. And I would like to thank everybody who was participating in preparation of this important event. Cooperation with the regions of Ukraine is one of the priorities of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the context of expanding the export and attraction of foreign investors. These two directions are being identified in the strategy of the international work of the country, which was approved by the President in August. And this is very important for Donetsk Oblast, which, as a result of the military aggression of the Russian Federation, has lost a lot of economic potential. And we have to regenerate the development of Donetsk Oblast, to create new jobs, to improve the conditions of life of these people who live in these regions. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs participates in the development, economic development of Donetsk and Lugansk Oblast. The strategy thereof was approved by the government of Ukraine in August to regenerate the investment potential of the oblast and to improve the promotion of the products generated in Donetsk Oblast. And this is a very important task of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. And this is a universal platform for the Ukrainian business and the international business. And this is used to allocate the partners, to expand the information and feedback from our entrepreneurs. It demonstrates that the business should be diplomatically supported. And we provide this diplomatic support to those who would like to promote their products into international markets. We exercise the individual approach to choosing the tools, taking into account the specific features of these products, the needs of the market and the opportunities of the market, and the quality, information support and practical assistance which is provided by the Council of Exporters and Investors under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs promotes the activities of the Ukrainian enterprises in the international markets to implement their potential. And the system of investment system in Donetsk Oblast will be very important to continue developing the temporary occupied territories after the integration of thereof into Ukraine, and to create the demand in the world for Ukraine, to get the investors interested in the opportunities of Ukraine and its regions, and in particular Donetsk Oblast. And they are extraordinary. During the visit to the United States, the President of Ukraine presented the plan of transformation of Ukraine, which is directed at attraction of more than $300 billion into the economy of Ukraine. And an important component of this plan is the cooperation with Donbass. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is going to provide the diplomatic support and to the practical implementation of the investment projects in Donetsk Oblast. And an important task is to use the potential of investment development, which is described in the law of Ukraine of support of the investment projects of large scope, which was mentioned already at this meeting. And this law envisages a lot of preferences, and which for the investment projects with a scope of over 20 million euro, and the creation of the jobs in the regions. And we diplomats usually focus the attention of our international partners on these aspects when we are carrying out meetings with them outside this country. And during the visit to Kuwait, I've informed the potential Kuwait investors about the opportunities which is being created by the government of Ukraine to engage the investment. And I will be happy if our team, which includes Ukrinvest and Ministry of Economy and the Chamber of Commerce, will be able to engage the investors of Kuwait to the prospective projects in Donetsk Oblast. So thank you very much for the attention. I would like to wish fruitful work for the participants of this forum, and we are always at your service in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Dmitro. And now I would like to give the floor to Gennady Chizhikov, who is the president of the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in the hospital-feasible facilities of which we are now staying. So I give the floor. Thanks a lot. Dear Pavlo, Rostislav, Sergei, Maxim, diplomats, friends, businessmen. I would like to, first of all, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Ukraine and Ukrainian business, to thank this great and this very timely way to actually hold it in a different way. We would like to show the Donetsk region from another side, to show you that the impossible is possible. We are going to talk about positive things today. And they often tell us. And actually, I would like to turn to our story. I really love history. I know the history of this region very well, and I would like to turn your attention to one fact. Just imagine, middle of the 19th century, more precisely, 1869. Businessman from Britain, John Hughes, bought a piece of land in this region from Mr. Kochubey and decided, in the middle of the steppe, there are no institutes or universities, there are no cities, it's just wild steppe, 100 kilometers to Azov Sea, to a small river, Kalmius. He decided to build a metallurgy plant. And now there is a question for you. There is no pavement. There is no railway. There are just horses and the steppe. So the question is the following. How many years do you need now to build a metallurgy plant? When there is a railway, there are planes, there is pavement, there is everything. And he, without all that, just thanks to his spirit, he collected villagers, other people, the whole team. And in 3 years, he managed to build a factory, even faster. 1862-72, the first batch of metal was already produced. And that was wild steppe, there was nothing there, just the wish to work. For this region, it was a very hard time. It was post-World War II, Everything was destroyed. Not a single factory remained. And after the second war, in 2 or 3 years, the first metal started arriving and the mines started extracting coal and all that. So when we talk about opportunities, about the potential, I think that we should be believing in yourself, first of all, and understand that Donetsk region is the land that people actually came here to fulfill themselves and to give opportunities for the future. So, thanks to this event, over 20 countries have come for this event to hear and to feel that this is the region which is going to develop, which wants to develop, and which really has opportunities for the development. But I would also like to talk a bit about more so that we all look at this region in somewhat different eyes. We keep looking at the Donetsk region through the prism of industry, agricultural sector. Last year, I did a trip to this region. I was simply driving around and actually making photos, and everybody was asking, where was it? And I said, actually, this is the Donetsk region. It has huge tourist potential. It's Homotovska steppe. There isn't anywhere in the world like that. It's the wild steppe. This is like Arizona with its huge potential of mountains and all that. So I would like to draw your attention to the fact that you have to somewhat differently look at those things which we're used to looking at. And I'm addressing now our colleagues from the international community. Just look at this region, not at what has been, but what could be. There is huge potential of small and medium business, which started developing so quickly in this region from the point of agricultural processing and other industries. Just look at this. We actually can we can make metal, we can extract coal. Let's look at other opportunities. Let us discover a new Donetsk region and new opportunities. It could be tourist and even for the industry. And I'm only commending you for the courage and of our colleagues from Donetsk, who in these challenging times decided to show that they are ready for everything, for actually receiving guests and receiving investments. And in the end, I would like to share a dream, which I would like to bring it to make it come true. There are MPs here and our friends I know. Let us all make the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Ukraine, together with Donetsk Chamber of Commerce and Industry, let us open in Kiev a huge house. This is going to be the house of positive things, which is going to have new ideas, that's going to unite everyone, international community in Kiev and the Donetsk region and everyone else. And actually, they are ready to support it. We are ready to support it. And also with the support of our friends and the authorities, I think it would have been a very good idea. So, I'm addressing everyone here, and I'm thankful for the delegation from Ternopil, from Mykolaiv region, from Chernivtsi. I'm very thankful to you, and I think that everyone should join the efforts. I wish success to Donetsk region, Donetsk entrepreneurs, and I invite everyone for cooperation. Thanks. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, well, these were the greeting presentations, the greeting words, and now we are moving to the presentations of investment potential of the Donetsk region. And now I give the floor to Director of the Department of Investment and Innovative Development and Foreign Relations of Donetsk Regional State Administration, Oksana Golovko. Good afternoon. Thank you. It is great to see everyone here. I see familiar faces, and it is even much more enjoyable to see people I don't know yet. Those who haven't visited Donetsk region or haven't visited as much, now we are going to find out about the real Donetsk region, the region which Pavlo and Gennady were referring to, as well as Mr. Zemlinsky. And I also hope that we are going to show those developments which we already have today. Donetsk region in focus. Why so? Because we wanted so that this 1.5 hours you could keep in your focus just one Donetsk region. That's it. A different Donetsk region, a peaceful Donetsk region, not the region that you are used to seeing. This is really so. It is for the first time since the beginning of military aggression of the Russian Federation in Ukraine, developed investment portal of Donetsk region that we are going to present to you today. In 2018, after the start of military action in 2014, we developed an investment passport of the Donetsk region. Actually, it was of a more symbolic significance. We really looked at what we have, what we can share, and what kind of developments we have at the moment. Year on year, this passport was getting more and more developments and practices, investment projects, our friends and partners. And in 2020, we managed to make it interactive. This was an interactive book which has actually the database with links and other main elements. And as of today, we transformed our investment passports into investment portal that we invited, actually our communities, the newly created ones in 2020. Administrative territorial reform of the territory of the Donetsk region is now over. We are working with specific communities, and as of today, we have an investment website of the Donetsk region. You will be able to look at it more closely after this event. There are several monitors installed there where you could look online how this investment website looks like, and you can already use the information from it now. If you have this opportunity, do invest, and you'll immediately get there. There are Ukrainian and English versions available. This version was developed with the support of ERA project, financed by USAID, and we are grateful to ERA for this help which was provided to us in the development of investment passport. So why did we actually do that? We did that because we actually took away that stereotypical idea about the Donetsk region, the stereotypical idea about the Donetsk region which exists today. Jointly with another project, international project, it was UNDP, we were developing, and now we're also going to present the new brand of the Donetsk region jointly with marketing strategy. We actually did a lot of research, but to understand how the Donetsk region is perceived, we don't need to do any research. We're now going to show you exclusively those images you see and understand. So this is the Donetsk region in the way it is normally perceived. The normal idea that's coal industry, metallurgy, that's mines, sunflowers, and all those. Then all these things were added up. This is true. This is a real story. This is destroyed infrastructure. In this case, you see the elements of destroyed infrastructure of our water supply enterprise, Water of Donbas. Besides, the whole world and a significant part of Ukraine also knows the Donetsk region like this. That was a small piece, but still it shows how we are perceived. So this is how we're perceived. These are the results of this survey of internal and external audience on the Donetsk region identification. The audience was diverse: diplomats, international organizations, residents of Donetsk region who left it, IDPs, those who live on the territory of the region, and those living in other regions of Ukraine, how they perceive our region. That's mostly how they see it. That's machine building, destruction, mines, steppe, coal, dilapidation, and of course the biggest, how they treat the Donetsk region, that's the war. But the thing is that we really wanted to inform you that we weren't standing in place, and we kept working all this time. What were we doing? We were restoring our infrastructure. And we have something to share in this direction. We're going to show you here and now, due to the lack of time, just some elements which exist in the part of restored infrastructure. Of course, every bridge, every road, every school, we cannot show that to you. But so that you understand it, that's 521 infrastructure objects with respective elements, like for example 101, that is actually restoring schools, kindergartens, like renovation, also current repairs. Also, at the expense of, we actually repaired 13 bridges. Among those, there are those which were almost fully destroyed. We actually repaired 15 of that, and actually, as of today, the Donetsk region can really say that the roads which are there on the territory of the Donetsk region are in satisfactory and very good state. And also, we are working for this program of restoring 118 objects of the infrastructure here, which are now being restored on the territory of the Donetsk region. Or they either completed or are in the completion stage until the end of this year. We are going to quote just several examples of our cooperation with international organizations. These are just small examples, the examples associated with restoring business infrastructure, the centers for administrative service in Slovyansk and Mykolaiivka, those which suffered the most during occupation, during military action, also with the support of Luxembourg Red Cross. We restored the work of a lot of buildings in the regional psychiatric hospital. Those who have been on the territory of the Donetsk region, and most of you visited it, for example, Mr. Bartush, Vladislav, they saw how this psychiatric hospital used to look like in Slovyansk. As of today, we already have joint work done. The children's hospital is now restored, the children's department, the TB department, the canteen. So these are the objects which have been repaired at the expense of international organizations, and also the regional administration with the state budget. They have restored the main building of this building, which is already today. It is already taken in some patients. Just the only example it is that with the support of UNICEF, 43 educational establishments which were helped by UNICEF were restored to this or that extent. That was for capital repairs. What we also did to support and develop small and medium business. Just some examples. The examples are that in Donetsk region, for a long time, there has been an interesting project supporting small and medium business, when regional administration jointly with local communities provides grants to local startups or to local entrepreneurs who would like to develop or expand their business. The grants are small. As of today, the sum is 500,000 hryvnias, but if the entrepreneur also invents his or her part, and some are provided by local authorities and some by regional administration, this amount allows the entrepreneur to work in micro, small, and medium business. 185 business entities already got these grants. Besides, the regional administration also supports such project jointly with the representatives of international organizations, like study tours. That is, we send abroad, according to the specializations, those entrepreneurs who became winners of the competition, who got some grants. As of now, there were 7 groups of entrepreneurs, about 30 entrepreneurs in each group, visited respective countries. I'm very grateful to the representatives of those countries, which are noted here on this slide and which are also here in this hall. I would like to thank you once again for your hospitality, and I'm hoping that we're not going to stop the implementation of these projects further on. Apart from that, the international organizations helped the development of small and medium business on the territory of the region. You see here, almost 1,300 grants were provided of different amounts for medium business as well. That would be about $25,000 and also small micro grants, which are provided, among other things, on the contact line to help people so that they had the chance to start their own business. Also, just recently, on the territory of the Donetsk region, there has been a breakthrough. There were changes in legislation and loans started. In this case, these are loans from KfW, German bank, which already provided 73 loans for investment projects. That's not $25,000, that's much bigger sums. And we're really hoping that these projects are going to be successfully implemented. So, we have told you a little bit how you imagine us. So now let us see the way we are. So let's do the introductions again. Donetsk region, its part, a bit less than half, is occupied. And now we're going to show you the Donetsk region that you don't know, that Mr. Chizhikov was talking about.
Well, the horses and the cats are real. Mr. Chizhikov and Mr. Kirilenko can confirm this is a real Donetsk Oblast, and it has a high level of tourist potential. And this is being confirmed not only by us as the owners of this treasure, but it is also being confirmed by the independent expert. We carried out the relevant research, and each of these objects was visited by the expert on tourist business, which we were inviting with the help of the international organization. And for objects, for destinations, we have an opportunity to be considered as the destinations of tourist attractiveness, not only internal but also external. And definitely one of them is the Lavra Monastery, and also it's the salt mine, the exposition of which you are going to see in the lobby. And what we are rich in, first of all, we are rich in human resources, and this is 90% of urban population. The area of Donetsk Oblast is very urbanized, and the most interesting thing is that in the area of Donetsk Oblast, which is a leader among the level of education of the people, and we have one of the highest levels of technical education, and we also hold the third place of the high technical education and concentration of specialists in the area of Donetsk Oblast. The concentration of specialists is also being enforced by additional element, and these are the very considerable natural resources. And we are talking not only about the traditional natural resources like coal and salt and things like that, but we are talking about the deposits of clay and refectories and other things. So the closeness of the natural resources and high level of qualification of the human resources is very important technical potential to be able to develop the business in the area of the Donetsk Oblast. What can we do? what can we really do apart from things you imagine about us? We didn't want to show on the screen the absolute numbers, because we understand that it should be compared, it should be imagined, or, but it's also a problem to show you the per capita ratios for the Donetsk Oblast. So we have decided to use the rating on the screen. We excluded the city of Kiev. We will rate our oblast in comparison with the regions of Ukraine. 1/3 of the sold metallurgical products in Ukraine is being produced in Donetsk Oblast. And as of today, we are the first as far as the level of the average monthly wage is concerned. We hold the second place in terms of export of goods, and the economy of Donetsk Oblast is export-oriented. And we hold the second place in terms of sales of industrial products. And Donetsk Oblast preserves, and maybe it's a signal to you, is the second place as far as the direct foreign investment is concerned. And as for this agriculture, the second place in terms of livestock which are being grown in the agricultural enterprises. It might be a surprise to you, but this is true. We are being trusted by. Who are we trusted by? We didn't want to show a lot of companies with the international investment, but we have taken the list of the enterprises with the foreign investment, and we also excluded Panama, Cyprus from them, and other elements. And frankly speaking, 33 enterprises from medium-sized to large businesses enjoy the foreign investment. But we have shown to you only those which, first of all, have been working for a long time and are known in the world. But also, secondly, these are the enterprises which have some social obligations, and actually they acquired them during the military action, and they actually are now manufacturing the same scope of products and production. And the Basque Ceramics next week is going to start to confirm the financial revenues to create additional production cycles. They are going to expand their production. The external economic activities, we are giving you the numbers of the January and February of 2021. These are the scope of exports. And in comparison with the previous period of 2020, the export has increased by 65%. The export to the countries of the European Union is at present as more than 50% of the general exports. The economy of Donetsk Oblast, after the military action started, actually lived through several waves of crises, which were external and internal. And the first of the crisis of the destruction of infrastructure, the crisis which is related to the destruction of the links between different parts of the oblast, between the part which is under control of the Ukrainian government and which is outside control. And the third crisis actually was due to the changes, to the sanctions which have been introduced by Ukraine and Russia during the period of time when Russia was announced as an aggressor to Ukraine. And the economy of Donetsk Oblast recovered from all these shocks, and it changed the source of export of their products to the European market. And in 2019, well, we had the scope of exports of 30%, but now we have the scope of export of 50% to the European Union countries. The external economic activities, as far as the structure of the exports, are ferrous metals, and we supply these products to Italy directly. What are we striving to? We are striving to everything each community and territory strives. These are the results of the survey of the internal audience of Donetsk Oblast to understand what people want. And well, we can see that people want peace and development. And these are the words which were used by the people. And people want peace and they want stability. They want, perspective. And this is quite common for the people. And these are the results of the survey of just a regular community. And what other people think about us? The external audience, what do they think about Donetsk Oblast? We were a little bit surprised because the imagination of the Donetsk Oblast were quite positive. This is a willful, dynamic, open and reliable partner. And this is the oblast we represent. And we took all the results of these surveys as a basis to develop our brand, the new version of the brand of Donetsk Oblast, which definitely has nothing to do to the flag or to the emblem of Donetsk Oblast, which have been confirmed and which are sacred things for Donetsk Oblast. But we have to have the modern brand of the Donetsk Oblast, which reflects the current one, but not the one you might imagine, which is represented by the sunflowers and the sunrise. Though the sunrise happens not in Donetsk Oblast but in Kharkiv Oblast. So Donetsk Oblast was always competing to be the first. And if we have Donetsk representatives present here, they can confirm it. They always were depleting their resources to win and to reach certain victories. And the war has changed the Donetsk residents. They understood how important their own home is, and they understood that the success and happiness are two different things. And happiness cannot support the victory. And at present, not the exploit, but a human being is at the center of the attention. And the Donetsk Oblast is an area of opportunities today. And each city of Donetsk Oblast is different from another. And we were very much, concerned when we were developing the brand of Donetsk Oblast because our cities are so different from each other. Volnovakha, Pokrovsk, and Donetsk are very different. They are different cities. And if we take into account absolutely all the peculiarities of these cities, we won't be able to reflect a real face of Donetsk Oblast. But those who have been traveling in Donetsk Oblast know that from city to city, we have what? We have the prairie, the steppe which Mr. Chezhikov was talking about. And in the steppe, in the prairie of Donetsk Oblast, the kovel grass is growing, and it is a symbol of flexibility, of strength, and it is really a symbol of Donetsk Oblast, and realistically reflects the area of opportunity which we can offer in Donetsk Oblast. And this was mentioned by Mr. Zemlinsky. If you are not doing it now, well, the investment in Donetsk Oblast is going to become more and more expensive in the future. We have opportunities for what? We would like to offer you several options. Option number one, these are the land plots, green fields, brown fields, and the vacant production areas. We have it in our investment portal. You can look at it, you can read about it, and there are the contact persons whom you can talk to. We do not insist that this is an element of our monopoly of the oblast administration. It's a free communication of yourself and territorial communities. In the area of Donetsk Oblast, also we are developing quite quickly the industrial parks. And we would like also to give you more information about it and to include the head the head of the Azov Invest company in Donecької області, and Mr. Andriy Shurshila, and he is going to address you by Skype. Or Ms. Savchenko, can we screen the address of Ms. Savchenko? In the area of Donecької області, we are creating 3 industrial parks. When the concept has been worked on, it has been developed, and all the materials are available, and the community is shaping up the infrastructure of the industrial park. And today you can see the deputy head of the Kramatorsk City Council, Ms. Tatyana Savchenko. Ms. Tatyana, as far as we know, you at present have an idea of the industrial park, and it's only at the level of the idea, the Hamper Technopark, and we will discuss it with you. Ms. Tatyana, what are the plans? What is the structure of the park you are thinking about as a result of the documents which you have developed up till now? Good afternoon. I'm happy to welcome all the participants of this. Is a very creative event. Thank you very much for inviting me. Kramatorsk has always been, and it is, the city of metallurgical workers and machine builders, and we are working on transformation of our economy. And we have various industrial sites which are not being used for the purpose, for their main purpose at present. And one of the companies started to develop a industrial brand. Hampertech is the name of it. And we hope that it is going to be registered at the beginning of 2022. And what is this area like? And how do we see the development thereof? This is a geographical center of our city, next to the areas which have been reconstructed, the Vernadsky Park and also the embankment of the river. And everybody who was speaking here was saying that the main priority of Donetskої області is development of the human resources, intellectual potential. And that's why the city council has already acquired into its property the project of the restructuring of part of the buildings to set up the medical university of Donetsk at present. You know that in Kramatorsk we are constructing the hospital of the tertiary level, and the university is going to train the specialists for this hospital as well. Kramatorsk at present is an administrative center of the oblast, and there is a great need in the exhibition areas, in the space for co-working. And there is another direction of the development of this area. And the main thing which we are going to place there is the high-tech innovative productions, the companies of the Industry 4.0, which are not detrimental for the environment and which promote the development of the intellectual potential. And thus, we plan to create modern, up-to-date ecosystem of interaction between science and the production, education, business incubation, and marketing activities, events, including the exhibition activities. Taking this opportunity, I would like to thank for adopting the amendments to the law on operation of the industrial park, which are going to improve the attractiveness of our areas, territories, and will provide the communities with an effective tool for creating new job, innovating activities, and increasing of revenues to the local budgets. Thank you, Ms. Tatyana. And now, if there is an opportunity, please, we would like to connect us to Azov Aqua Invest. Good afternoon, esteemed participants of this event. Well, I would like to tell you about our industrial park in Mariupol. Well, we are going to we have planned to implement the first phase of the creation of the industrial park that is developing the engineering infrastructure to the border of the industrial park. We are adhering to this plan. We have already dismantled the inappropriate buildings, and we also have created 2 greenfield sites, and we have also built the transformers and substations, and at present we are connecting the area to the water supply and gas supply. This is about the first phase of the preparation, and we are going to complete it in the current year. And as for the plans for the future, well, in next year we are planning to implement the second phase of the creation of the industrial park. And this is going to include the construction of the buildings inside the perimeter of the industrial park. We are going to create the roads which will be connecting the sites, and also the engineering communications are going to be provided, well, in accordance with the capacity which will be requested by the potential investors. And we are going to consolidate this phase with designing and construction of the buildings for the first investors. We already have signed 5 investment agreements with the various dates of the beginning of the construction, and at present we are discussing the issues with the 4 potential residents of the industrial park. Our goals are very ambitious, and we hope that next year we are going to launch the first production activities in the area of industrial park, and we are taking all the possible efforts to implement these plans. Thank you, Andrei. And now we are going to go back to our presentation. These are just a couple of examples. Azov Invest Industrial Park, which is being registered, and this enterprise is a leader at present. Technocity and Limansky are developing the infrastructure, and they are looking for the sources of financing so that they will be able to implement this infrastructure, as distinct from Azov Invest, who have allocated the financing with the help of the Oblast administration to continue developing. And the 2 parks which are going to be created is Pokrovsky Technopark, and we hope that they are going to actually overtake the previous ones. So we are offering 42 potential investment projects in the following areas.
You can see them with the help of our investment website, which contains this information both in Ukrainian and English languages in diverse areas, which you see now on the screen. What do we have strategically, which is implemented on the territory of the Donetsk region, and first of all is going to improve its investment attractiveness, and then is going to attract new businesses to the territory of our region? Well, first of all is what Tatiana said. It would be the building of a municipal hospital in Kramatorsk. You can come and see. Apart from it, we are preparing for future implementation of a rather important project for us. That would be stable supply of high-quality potable water for the Donetsk region. This water is necessary not just for regular residents of the Donetsk region, but also to enterprises and businesses which are located there and in the future would be able to expand, which we are hoping for. Also, construction of new civil airports in the Donetsk region. And I think that you know, and the mass media had some public statements from central authorities about 2 airports in the north and the south of the Donetsk region. And we are hoping, first of all, that we're going to have an opportunity and also permits for that. And we are hoping that we're going to find an investor who is ready to put investments into these projects. And I guarantee that about 100,000 residents of the Donetsk region are going to be ready to buy the first tickets to these airports to fly at least internal flights inside our country. Then also implementation of our ambitious investment projects. This is the project which is rather well known, Mariupol Marine Trade Port, that's state enterprise, which has projects being implemented associated with the grain terminal. It has state financing. The capacity of this terminal after it is completed, after both lines of construction completed, is going to be 1 million tons per year. After the execution of the second stage, you can keep 131,000 tons of grain at the same time, which can then be exported. Also, another ambitious investment project is the new construction of a windmill from Wind Farm LLC. It is represented here. You can talk to them as well. There's 160 windmills. Their total capacity is 800 megawatts. And that is a super powerful plant, which also envisages a lot of land plots. They are located, they're now in the stage of completion. This is, and also they had the environmental evaluation done, and there's going to be construction works completed in the end of the following year. Another ambitious investment project is the construction of factory to produce calcinated, and actually you know that Ukraine doesn't have its own production. We're actually importing it from other countries. But the issue is that on the territory of the region, there are respective production capacities and there are professionals who are ready to work in this production. There is actually cooperation with the state institution, NEOKIM, which actually does implementation of projects of similar factories in other countries. And for example, in Uzbekistan, where this already in the finishing stage. Knock on wood. I didn't want to say in the beginning, but still I'm going to say that it was for sodium carbonate. And actually, yesterday in the Donetsk region, there was a meeting with investors from Turkey who looked at the production area. They got interested. And we already had more specific negotiations on further actions of each of us. That would be municipal authorities, NEOKIM, Turkish investor, and regional administration to move forward in this direction. So, use the opportunities and get profits in the Donetsk region. We are ready for cooperation. We are ready to work. We're here, not very far, in the east of Ukraine. Please come and use the opportunities. images. You saw the real Donetsk region, real employees. We are real. Please come visit us. Thank you. Thank you, Oksana, for this incredibly content-packed and emotional presentation. As we can see, in spite of temporary occupation of a part of the Donetsk region, the region is developing and even dreams and has ambitious plans. So what would be the impressions from international partners and investors who during this last 7 years have been cooperating with the Donetsk region and developing the infrastructure, the economy, how they actually see the future of its development? We invite manager of UNDP's Recovery and Peace Building Program, Victor Munteanu.
Thanks a lot. I'll switch to English if you would allow, and understanding that I'm standing between you and coffee, I'll try to be as short as possible. To add to the presentation made just a few moments ago by Oksana, I would like to add that, of course, we try to help as much as possible and be behind these grandiose plans by the regional administration, by the central level of government, working hand in hand with the Ministry of Reintegration of temporarily occupied territories, working at the level of communities, working with the people of Donetsk Oblast, Lugansk Oblast, covering as much as possible work that has been done along the Azov coastline of Zaporizhia Oblast and Donetsk Oblast. Now, obviously, the assistance coming from the international community is not a sustainable source of funding, right? We do understand that a lot of assistance has been generated by the fact of the ongoing military conflict and the understanding of international partners that that assistance to the people of Ukraine has to be increased and has to be directed at something that will create sustainable solutions, that will leave behind capacities and abilities to deal with these challenges that were actually predating the conflict. Yes, a lot of difficulties, a lot of elements in terms of the development of the region were not caused by the conflict. They were there before the war has started, and we have to remember that as well. Back in 2015, as the military action was still pretty much ongoing, the World Bank, the United Nations, and the European Union have had a comprehensive assessment of the situation and what has to be done to support the recovery, the rehabilitation, and future sustainable development. And of course, three main elements have been identified as kind of the key directions in which we had to work. First of all, of course, economic recovery and support to the development of the economic sector and the private initiative. It has been identified that a lot of support will have to be invested in developing local capacity and supporting the national level of reforms, and I mean here the reform of decentralization, the reform of the public health sector, etc. And then another important element to change the atmosphere, to change the perceptions, and Oksana has been mentioning this a while ago, concentrating quite a lot on recovering the trust, the cohesion of the citizens, but also the levels of community security. As part of a joint effort by the United Nations Development Program, with its implementing partners, with support from over 10 international development partners, among which the EU and a number of EU member states, we've concentrated exactly on these three directions. Now, when we speak about the development of the private sector, very important for us was to concentrate our efforts on developing this the capacity for private initiative, building the ability of locally homegrown businessmen to build their small micro enterprises, have access to services, have access to markets, to finance, etc. So in that regard, over the last 3 years, understanding perfectly well that we cannot cover everything, we tried to assess and see where those potential points of growth, where is it more worthwhile to invest the limited resources? Therefore, we concentrated efforts on a number of value chains, among which are the textile production, ceramics, grain and oilseeds, fruits and vegetables, etc., etc. And I think it was also very important that we had an ongoing coordination and joint work with our other partners and colleagues from USAID and from the ERA project, where we have decided jointly on the spread of our efforts and our investment and the areas and the value chains that will be supported. So over 700 businesses have had access to finance, small grants, access to larger resources that gave them a chance to create their business, develop it. And just a week ago, we have been opening up here the East Expo. A number of faces we know have been here. And the Donetsk Oblast has been represented exactly by businesses that we have had the chance to support, by others as well. And I think that is a very good example of what a focused support at the right time can produce. Now, more importantly, we need to concentrate our efforts also on developing the area of service provision, right? Therefore, we have supported and will continue supporting a network of business service providers that will support further these small enterprises. Another element of work that has to continue, and we've concentrated our efforts on, was assessing the status and the status quo of the technical vocational education sector in the region. Obviously, we do have quite a number of institutions that teach sometimes professions that are now required on the market, right? So making these connections between the private sector, the educational institutions, has been very important. Therefore, the strategy of development of technical vocational education in the region, supporting numbers, scores of technical vocational institutions, rehabilitating their infrastructure, rebuilding the classrooms, but more importantly, transforming their curriculums, so that students coming out of a technical vocational school, they're ready to be employed. They do possess the skills and the knowledge that will give them a chance to be employed by those enterprises that need those forces, that workforce there. Now, another important element, of course, and I said we tried to have as much as possible a comprehensive approach, was working at the level of the communities. Therefore, developing an understanding of the use of investment resources at the level of the community was extremely important. Therefore, building the investment profiles of over 10 communities in Donetsk Oblast, building their brands, developing their brands and marketing strategies, and it has been our honor to contribute to the development of the brand strategy of Donetsk Oblast itself. It is extremely important also to build the capacity of communities to be able to attract loan resources and use them for the development of the infrastructure that larger business will need. Going forward, I think this support will continue, and I'm pretty sure that these overall directions of work will be maintained, contributing to the development of the strategy of Donetsk Oblast development. We have these elements included there, and we will be definitely walking along our partners in Donetsk Oblast along this path, and looking forward for the next years of cooperation and joint work. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And now we have Christopher Abrams with us live, Director for the Office of Economic Growth, USAID Mission to Ukraine and Belarus on international development. The floor is yours.
Greetings, everyone.
My name
Greetings to you.
is I'm the director of the Economic Growth Office here at USAID Ukraine. I'm very pleased to be here. It's a great honor to be here at the Investment Forum for Donetsk Oblast. We've been working there for many, many years, really since the beginning of the birth of Ukraine. And of course, now, after the events in 2014, we've increased that assistance dramatically. And our goal simply is to help the Donetsk Oblast become more of a create their dynamic community, bring their economy up to scale, connected to other parts of Ukraine and to other international markets, like many of our partners here today have discussed, and really work to develop all the capacities they need for the future. And in that regard, we think it's a very, very promising future for Donetsk Oblast. In particular, I have to think about the people, and the partners that we've worked with there over this last 5 years have been fantastic. And so what we find is in the government, in the business community, education, service provision, there are committed people willing to work, willing to look, to plan for a better future. And our job is really just to support them and how they go forward and make their vision for what can be happen. So we provide services in a lot of ranges and a lot of sectors, but we also have teams on the ground, and you're going to hear from some of our projects today. I guess my big message is just that we've invested, roughly over $130 million, in this area of Ukraine. I guess we can consider ourselves an investor for the future of Donetsk Oblast. We have teams on the ground that are willing to work with you as you make your decisions to invest in Donetsk Oblast. And we are here to work with you and all the partners here at this conference with all the tools that you'll hear about today. And please keep in touch. And with that, I will leave it to my friends at the ERA team to talk about some of the specifics of what we're doing here in Eastern Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Дякуємо, пане Абрамс. А поділитися враженням.
Thank you, Mr. Abrams, and to share the impressions of the work of the USAID activity in Donetsk Oblast, as well, Mr. Chervikov is going to share his impressions, and he's going to talk about the project of improving economic resilience of Ukraine. I am honored to speak to this audience today, and first of all, I would like to mention that the work of our activity in terms of attraction of investment is, first of all, is based on the market approach and commercial approach. And we are targeted too at the commercial basis and market-oriented basis to invest the funds into the development of the Donetsk Oblast. First of all, I would like to mention the work we are carrying out in the sense of the work with the medium-sized and small businesses. And first of all, we have the Transaction Advice Services Program, which is targeted to the assistance of SMEs in attraction of investment. Unfortunately, the companies are attracting investment not every day, and this is a task which needs a lot of specific expert knowledge, which is not accessible to the SMEs. And we have applied to the financial advisors and investment bases of Ukraine, who are selecting on the competitive basis SMEs which are looking for external investment. And after the selection process, the financial advisors and investment bankers are helping to marry the SMEs with the investors and help them to close the deals. We have already certain achievements, and taking into account the banking secrets, I cannot tell you the exact information about that, but the ceramic company already got the investment from the bank of with the international capital to improve their infrastructural possibilities. The second program we implement in terms of help of the SMEs is the following. There are companies which cannot attract the banking financing because they are not yet ready to apply to the banks. They are not clients of the bank yet in terms of attracting external investment, or they have been already recredited and they cannot attract this investment anymore. And with this purpose, we are helping the international and foreign Hazel Finance Fund, International Financing Fund, to start working in the Donetsk Oblast to finance the fast-growing companies who not yet are ready to get the banking financing. And this is a fund which is managing the institutional capital, the capital of the development banks, international development banks, leading ones. And we think that this is a great achievement, and we hope that starting from the next year, they will start the transactions and operations in the Donetsk Oblast. And there is another very important aspect of our work, and those are the changes which take place in the legislation of the industrial parks. And these amendments help to improve the competitive advantages of the Ukrainian cities and Ukrainian communities and to equalize them with the opportunities in the international communities. And these are the stimuli which will be able to attract the leading local companies and international companies so that they will develop their production and improve the economic situation in the region. As for the attraction of the investment, we are providing technical assistance to the projects which are initiated by the international financial institutions so that we will be able to accelerate the implementation of the projects which are being implemented by the IFIs. And a couple of such projects have been mentioned already here at this forum, and the ERA project was one of the achievements in this area. And to complete my presentation, I would like to mention the following. These projects for the SMEs definitely are very important, but I would like to underscore our cooperation with the local educational organizations because they are preparing the competitive human resources of the region, which are the basis and the main asset of the competitiveness of the region. Thank you very much for your attention, and goodbye. Thank you very much. And it's a wonderful Donetsk Oblast, which consolidates a very strong economy and beautiful art. And there are a lot of labor industries, and there are a lot of composers, poets, and writers who have been nurtured by Donetsk land. Donetsk land has celebrated 130th anniversary of Sergei Prokofiev, the world-renowned composer, and the international airport was named after him in Donetsk, and a strong aviation hub, which was able to land any planes, even Mriya plane, and at any weather conditions. But the airport does not exist any longer. But we hope that we will be able to regenerate this airport in the future. There are a lot of things which we can surprise people in the Donetsk Oblast. The pragmatic economy and the wonderful art could be consolidated in this area. Please watch the video. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to look at the exposition in the lobby and to find out more about the enterprises and the sectors which are not typical for Donetsk Oblast. And Ms. Oksana Golovko is going to tell you about our main locations. So please, we invite you to the tour of our exposition. So we have completed the main part of our event. You are welcome to have a cup of coffee and to look at our exposition, which represent not typical industries of Donetsk Oblast, and enjoy your coffee and enjoy your communication, and please get acquainted with the enterprises of Donetsk Oblast. Thank you. Thank you.
Приватне акціонерне товариство «Екопрод» було створене та зареєстроване в Волноваському районі Донецької області 17 травня 1996 року. Генеральним директором товариства є Мельник Іван Іванович, який все життя присвятив почесній справі аграрія, за що й був визнаний державою заслуженим працівником сільського господарства України. Товариство розташоване на території Донецької області, але не під час проведення АТО, не під час карантинних обмежень не припиняло свою діяльність. Робота аграрія важка і залежить від багатьох факторів, особливо від клімату і примх погоди. За роки роботи траплялося різне, були і невдачі, але компанія частіше виходить переможцем у боротьбі з природою за врожай. Завдяки важкій праці і сучасним технологіям в різні роки компанія досягла рекордних результатів. У сучасному сільському господарстві України дефіцит професіоналів. Завдання товариства – зберегти кадровий потенціал і залучити молодь. Працевлаштування та соціальний захист, пожвавлення життя сіл, де розташовані структурні підрозділи – ось основні цілі соціальної політики, яку проводить «Екопрод». На підприємстві працює понад 800 працівників, які за чесну працю отримують справедливу щомісячну зарплатню, акордну оплату праці та додаткову премію. Співробітники цінують подібний підхід компанії та з впевненістю в наступному дні працюють на совість. Основними видами діяльності товариства є вирощування зернових культур, бобових культур і насіння олійних культур, розведення великої рогатої худоби молочних порід, оптова торгівля зерном, насінням і кормами для тварин, оптова торгівля хімічними продуктами, будівництво житлових і нежитлових будівель, виробництво та торгівля електроенергією та інше. Основну виробничу діяльність, а саме вирощування сільськогосподарської продукції, підприємство здійснює на території Волноваського, Краматорського та Покровського районів Донецької області. Для ведення товарного сільськогосподарського виробництва орендовано згідно договорів оренди, кількість яких складає 6900.
Today, Ukrainian energy sector is fully dependable upon the supply of hydrocarbons and nuclear fuel. To limit this dependence, the government of Ukraine has adopted a new energy strategy. It is planned that by 2035, the renewable energy sources, including wind and solar, will be responsible for 25% share of the total electricity production in the country. By 2020, the investment boom in Ukraine has led to the development of 5.4 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity, which produces only 5.3% of electrical energy. Due to the lack of state control, the development of more expensive solar generation outran the action plan in the industry, which made the crisis deeper. In reality, up to 80% of the investment in renewable energy was used to pay for imported generating equipment or finance expenses and was spent outside the country, while the green tariffs guaranteed to domestic and foreign investors fantastic profitability. All these negatively affected the industry development. The successful experience of advanced economies calls for production localization of the wind power equipment components in the country of use and creating conditions for their export. For example, Russia owns the vast resources of hydrocarbons and nuclear fuel, but nevertheless has started its own production of Siemens, Vestas, and Lagaway wind turbines for the construction of wind power plants. This way, a significant share of investment in renewable generation remains in the country and flows into the budget in the form of taxes, while creating additional jobs and reviving the economy. In Ukraine, the personification of such successful world experience is the project of 800-megawatt wind power plant in the Nikolsky and Mangush districts of Donetsk region, which is developed by Wind Farm LLC. The wind farm project features location of the project nearby large industrial consumers of electricity capable to consume all produced electricity, as well as Azovmash plant, which can be used as the base for the wind turbine components production. Great care for preservation of biological diversity in the region of wind turbines installation. Improvement of the environmental situation in the region. Solving problems with energy supply in Mariupol. Balancing conditions agreed by the system operator as well as computer model of wind farm grid connection scheme. The project creates preconditions for the further balanced development of renewable energy in Ukraine, namely involvement of the world's leading manufacturers of wind turbines, creation of domestic wind turbines production industry with great export potential, job creation in many related industries, additional revenue streams for state budgets of various levels, financing a surcharge to electricity market price for the use of locally made equipment at the expense of taxes paid by the newly created export industry, creation of an additional source of stimulating development of the domestic wind energy sector. At present, a significant share of wind turbine components for the large projects in Europe are produced in China, Turkey, Poland, and other countries at considerable distances from the raw material base and location of future wind farms. Therefore, logistics costs amount up to 10% of the total wind turbines cost. Ukraine is located in the center of Europe and is a major producer of steel, so Ukrainian products should be competitive at European markets, and convenient access to both seaports of Mariupol makes logistics as efficient as it can be. Nowadays, Mariupol is the dirtiest city in Europe, with 90% of pollution coming from its metallurgical plants' emissions. The European steel producers plan to avoid old coke technology and start using the method of direct iron renewal in the steel production to minimize emissions. This technology assumes using hydrogen produced by electricity from the renewable sources. To support its producers along this way, Europe is planning to impose a duty on the importers of steel which was produced by the dirty technology starting 2021. This will make Ukrainian steel non-competitive at the international market. That's why ArcelorMittal, the owner of the metallurgical plant in Kryvyi Rih, has already started testing the new technology on its plant in Hamburg. The wind power plant near Mariupol can generate enough green electricity to ensure the competitiveness of Mariupol steel producers, which indicates the great potential of the project of wind farm. Therefore, the wind farm project is a reasonable investment that will lead to an exponential economic breakthrough and creation of social and economic stability in the region. Also, it can potentially become a basis for significant improvements of the local ecological situation.
Приватне акціонерне товариство «Екопрод» було створене та зареєстроване в Волноваському районі Донецької області 17 травня 1996 року. Генеральним директором товариства є Мельник Іван Іванович, який все життя присвятив почесній справі аграрія, за що й був визнаний державою заслуженим працівником сільського господарства України. Товариство розташоване на території Донецької області, але не під час проведення АТО, не під час карантинних обмежень не припиняло свою діяльність. Робота аграрія важка і залежить від багатьох факторів, особливо від клімату і примх погоди. За роки роботи траплялося різне, були і невдачі, але компанія частіше виходить переможцем у боротьбі з природою за врожай. Завдяки важкій праці і сучасним технологіям в різні роки компанія досягла рекордних результатів. У сучасному сільському господарстві України дефіцит професіоналів. Завдання товариства – зберегти кадровий потенціал і залучити молодь. Працевлаштування та соціальний захист, пожвавлення життя сіл, де розташовані структурні підрозділи – ось основні цілі соціальної політики, яку проводить «Екопрод». На підприємстві працює понад 800 працівників, які за чесну працю отримують справедливу щомісячну зарплатню, акордну оплату праці та додаткову премію. Співробітники цінують подібний підхід компанії та з впевненістю в наступному дні працюють на совість. Основними видами діяльності товариства є вирощування зернових культур, бобових культур і насіння олійних культур, розведення великої рогатої худоби молочних порід, оптова торгівля зерном, насінням і кормами для тварин, оптова торгівля хімічними продуктами, будівництво житлових і нежитлових будівель, виробництво та торгівля електроенергією та інше. Основну виробничу діяльність, а саме вирощування сільськогосподарської продукції, підприємство здійснює на території Волноваського, Краматорського та Покровського районів Донецької області. Для ведення товарного сільськогосподарського виробництва орендовано згідно договорів оренди, кількість яких складає 6950 одиниць, земельні ділянки загальною площею 25 986 гектарів. Середня урожайність за 2020 рік зернових культур складає 40 центнерів з гектару, соняшнику 25 центнерів з гектару. Основний напрямок діяльності господарства в рослинництві – вирощування зернових та соняшника для переробки та реалізації, а в тваринництві – розведення великої рогатої худоби молочного та м'ясного напрямку. Компанія розводить велику рогату худобу на 5 фермах сел Волноваського району. На одній з молочних ферм товариства є племінний завод, який займається розведенням корів, адаптованих до місцевих кліматичних умов, що мають імунітет до більшості хвороб і що характеризуються високою продуктивністю і високим числом лактаційних періодів. Селекційна робота поряд з інвестиційними програмами, спрямованими на поліпшення інфраструктури і на закупівлю нового обладнання, наприклад, покупка американської доїльної системи Байматік, сприяла збільшенню показників продуктивності, яка майже на 40% вище середніх по країні. Середньорічне поголів'я великої рогатої худоби складає 3936 голів, корів молочного стада – 1630 голів. Валовий надій в рік на корову складає 6100 літрів. В 2020 році підприємством було реалізовано 80 736 центнерів молока. Товариство є лідером з виробництва молока на сході країни. Найвища якість виробленого молока підтверджена чинними багаторічними контрактами з найбільшими виробниками молочної продукції України. Враховуючи постійно зростаючий попит на високоякісний, оброблений фунгіцидами, підготовлений до висівання посівний матеріал, у 2016 році було введено в експлуатацію насіннєвий завод з підготовки насіння для продажу, побудований і оснащений власним коштом з використанням високотехнологічного устаткування марки «Кімбрія». Товариство має офіційний статус виробника насіння для деяких видів пшениці, ячменю, сої та гороху. Обробляє понад 200 тонн високоякісного посівного матеріалу в день. При цьому його чистота оцінюється в 99,6%. Належне збереження забезпечують сховища з усіма необхідними умовами. Основа резерву підвищеного рівня врожайності – відбір зерен на великі і важкі. Посів якісним насінням дозволяє підвищувати кількості щорічного врожаю і підтримувати безперервну врожайність рідкісних сортів зернових і олійних культур. Завдяки творчій праці колективу однодумців-професіоналів високого рівня, компанія за час своєї праці зайняла гідну позицію в українському ринку насіння, що дозволило підприємству отримати визнання вітчизняних виробників олійного насіння. Щорічно на полях сільгосппідприємств за участю наших фахівців закладаються демонстраційні посіви пропонованих гібридів соняшнику в різних областях України. Результати випробувань гібридів аналізуються при проведенні днів поля із залученням потенційних покупців і фахівців підприємств по вирощуванню. В розпорядженні господарства 2 сучасні зернові елеватори, обсяг зберігання зерна на яких дорівнює 52 тисячі тонн. Завдяки зручній транспортній інфраструктурі зерно відвантажують як на авто, так і на залізничний транспорт. У агрегатах завдяки передовим технологіям повністю виключений варіант змішування мокрих зернових культур з сухими. З метою більшого контролю наявності та якості комбікормів для тваринницького напряму підприємство виробляє комбікорми на власному комбікормовому цеху з використанням високотехнологічного устаткування марки «Скіол». Її велика частина споживається у власному господарстві, повністю задовольняючи внутрішні потреби. Максимальна потужність цеху становить 120 тонн на добу. У власності підприємства також є і зернопереробні потужності, млин та крупоцех. Підприємство щодобово випікає 2000 одиниць хлібобулочних виробів з власної сировини. У 2017 році товариство побудувало і запустило в експлуатацію біогазовий завод. Завод має електричну потужність 1500 кВт і теплову потужність 1470 кВт. Виробляє 5 мільйонів 200 метрів кубічних екологічно чистого біогазу на рік, а вироблення рідких біодобрив з відходів становить 45 350 тонн на рік. На підприємстві працює сучасна лабораторія, яка виконує необхідні виміри параметрів і показників якості матеріалів, які використовуються в сільському господарстві. Дослідження показників родючості ґрунту, якості кормів для тварин, дослідження показників забрудненості води та якості дизельного палива. Парк сільськогосподарської техніки «Екопрода» складає 674 одиниці. Автомобільний парк становить 170 одиниць. Створено і благодійний фонд «Агротурбота», що займається реалізацією гуманітарних програм в сільській місцевості. У близькому майбутньому товариство «Екопрод» планує займатися не тільки вирощуванням та виробництвом сировини, а й переробкою. У найближчих планах будівництво млину, бойні, збільшення удвічі площі саду до 30 гектар. Зараз 15 гектар черешні, планується ще 15 гектар груші. Будівництво цеху по виробництву паливних брикетів, розширення майстерень по ремонту та обслуговуванню сільськогосподарської техніки задля надання послуг з ремонту техніки не тільки власної, але й інших господарств. Планується придбання та встановлення холодильного обладнання для власної продукції. Товариство «Екопрод» націлене на успіх і творення. Сформований колосальний заділ для подальшого поступального розвитку. Підприємство готово виходити на європейський рівень. Для цього в нас є потенціал.
Today, Ukrainian energy sector is fully dependable upon the supply of hydrocarbons and nuclear fuel. To limit this dependence, the government of Ukraine has adopted a new energy strategy. It is planned that by 2035, the renewable energy sources, including wind and solar, will be responsible for 25% share of the total electricity production in the country. By 2020, the investment boom in Ukraine has led to the development of 5.4 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity, which produces only 5.3% of electrical energy. Due to the lack of state control, the development of more expensive solar generation outran the action plan in the industry, which made the crisis deeper. In reality, up to 80% of the investment in renewable energy was used to pay for imported generating equipment or finance expenses and was spent outside the country, while the green tariffs guaranteed to domestic and foreign investors fantastic profitability. All these negatively affected the industry development. The successful experience of advanced economies calls for production localization of the wind power equipment components in the country of use and creating conditions for their export. For example, Russia owns the vast resources of hydrocarbons and nuclear fuel, but nevertheless has started its own production of Siemens, Vestas and Lagaway wind turbines for the construction of wind power plants. This way, a significant share of investment in renewable generation remains in the country and flows into the budget in the form of taxes, while creating additional jobs and reviving the economy. In Ukraine, the personification of such successful world experience is the project of 800-megawatt wind power plant in the Nikolsky and Mangush districts of Donetsk region, which is developed by Wind Farm LLC. The wind farm project features location of the project nearby large industrial consumers of electricity capable to consume all produced electricity, as well as Azovmash plant, which can be used as the base for the wind turbine components production. Great care for preservation of biological diversity in the region of wind turbines installation. Improvement of the environmental situation in the region. Solving problems with energy supply in Mariupol. Balancing conditions agreed by the system operator as well as computer model of wind farm grid connection scheme. The project creates preconditions for the further balanced development of renewable energy in Ukraine, namely involvement of the world's leading manufacturers of wind turbines, creation of domestic wind turbines production industry with great export potential, job creation in many related industries, additional revenue streams for state budgets of various levels, financing a surcharge to electricity market price for the use of locally made equipment at the expense of taxes paid by the newly created export industry, creation of an additional source of stimulating development of the domestic wind energy sector. At present, a significant share of wind turbine components for the large projects in Europe are produced in China, Turkey, Poland, and other countries at considerable distances from the raw material base and location of future wind farms. Therefore, logistics costs amount up to 10% of the total wind turbines cost. Ukraine is located in the center of Europe and is a major producer of steel, so Ukrainian products should be competitive at European markets. And convenient access to both seaports of Mariupol makes logistics as efficient as it can be. Nowadays, Mariupol is the dirtiest city in Europe, with 90% of pollution coming from its metallurgical plant's emissions. The European steel producers plan to avoid old coke technology and start using the method of direct iron renewal in the steel production to minimize emissions. This technology assumes using hydrogen produced by electricity from the renewable sources. To support its producers along this way, Europe is planning to impose a duty on the importers of steel which was produced by the dirty technology starting 2021. This will make Ukrainian steel non-competitive at the international market. That's why ArcelorMittal, the owner of the metallurgical plant in Kryvyi Rih, has already started testing the new technology on its plant in Hamburg. The wind power plant near Mariupol can generate enough green electricity to ensure the competitiveness of Mariupol steel producers, which indicates the great potential of the project of wind farm. Therefore, the wind farm project is a reasonable investment that will lead to an exponential economic breakthrough and creation of social and economic stability in the region. Also, it can potentially become a basis for significant improvements of the local ecological situation.